Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Good morning, Judge.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I understand we have new technology, new speakers, and you all know I'm technologically challenged. So I'm getting it together this morning, so bear with me a little bit. Let's see. Gotcha. You filed a waiver? All right, everyone, we'll get started. Good morning, I'm Judge Regina Mincy, and this is the state all-purpose calendar for Tuesday, May, I'll get the month right, for Tuesday, May 17, 2022. I want to remind everyone that this entire proceeding is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube, so it is available to be viewed by persons in the Zoom format or on YouTube. So I want to let the defendants know to govern yourselves accordingly. Listen to your attorneys when they tell you not to speak. Remember that anything that you state about the facts or occurrences of your case can and will be held against you. So the prosecutors are here listening. So please be very careful and don't make any statements that may be against your interest. All right, we're going to begin. I do have private counsel in the courtroom this morning. I'd like to do that case first, if you all don't mind. Deputy in courtroom 2.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And
We're gonna start on 3 South. We're gonna start on 3 South.
let me do this private attorney case, one that I have live. I don't have anyone else in person, and then I'll start with you in a second. I'm going to start with case number 20. And that is 21 CR 004128B as in boy. That's the state versus Tina Marita Mathis, charged with 1 count of battery family violence. The offense date is August the 5th, 2021. Counsel, what are we doing with this case today?
Judge, you said you wanted to do private first. Miss Mathis is my case. Position 20 is my case, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 21 and not 20.
Thank you, Judge.
Let me start over. This is position 21. Is it Kebius Mosley, 19 CR 009082F. And this is state versus Mr. Mosley. He's charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, 1 count of tampering with evidence. That criminal trespass is family violence. 2nd count, tampering with evidence. 3rd count, reckless conduct. 4th count, discharge of a firearm on or near public highway or street, all with the offense date of May 14th, 2019. And I have Mr. William Smith, who is representing the defendant. And I understand that you have also filed a waiver of appearance.
Your Honor, Mr. Mosley is actually a good family friend of mine. I filed an entry of appearance last night. We would enter a not guilty plea and waive any formal reading of the charges against him.
Okay.
He was recently picked up on May the 8th for a bench warrant. Apparently he has failed to appear twice. So he is currently in the Fulton County Jail.
Okay. And in courtroom 2, that is not Mr. Mosley, is it?
That's Mr. Mosley, Your Honor. We didn't get the notice to waive appearance. So
Okay. Oh, you did not. So he is there. That is Mr. Mosley. Okay. All right. And so we're going to do the arraignment this morning. Mr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Mosley, understand your counsel is here in the courtroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you can see him on the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And again, I want you to know that we're going to address your case today. And I also let you know about your constitutional right to remain silent. I want to remind you of that. Your attorney has waived the formal reading of the accusation. And again, Mr. Mosley, how do you plead to the 4 charges that I've read?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. All right, I want you to understand that each of these charges carries a maximum sentence of 1 year in jail or a maximum fine of $1,000 for each of those charges, which could total 4 years or 4,000, and they could run concurrent. And I want you to know that your case will be reset for a jury trial. Trial will be scheduled by the state court judge to whom this case is assigned. And I'm not sure of that at this point. So the division judge will give you further notice for the trial, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, ma'am.
And again, we thank you for that. I will accept your not guilty plea, Mr. Mosley. And that will conclude this matter. You have been arraigned.
Your Honor, that concludes my business.
Yes, you may be excused. All right, thank you. You too, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley. We'll be in touch soon.
All right, your attorney will reach out to you, Mr. Mosley. Which cases is position 21 assigned to? Which prosecutor? Is that Ms. Harmon?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Counsel was asking which prosecutor. He may reach out to you, Ms. Harmon.
Okay.
Okay,
Have a good day.
you too. Thank you. All right, Deputy, who do we have next?
Next gonna be position 5 and 6, Dixon.
5 and 6. Please. All right, again, is this Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to take your first case, position 5. This is 22 CR 0010221G. State versus Darius Dixon. You're charged with 1 count of simple battery. The offense date is February 23rd, 2022. And you also have position 6, which is 22 CR 002488G, where you're charged with 1 count of battery, 2nd count of simple battery, and a 3rd count of criminal trespass, all with the offense date of April the 25th, 2022. And we are arraigning both cases today.
That's correct. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Finlay.
Good morning, Judge. Yes, ma'am. These will be just an arraignment on each of these.
Okay. All right, and then this is Ms. Webb's case.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, I'm fine. All right, as I have read both positions 5 and 6, 1 ending in 21G, 1 ending in 88G. And so to those charges that I have read, Mr. Dixon, how do you plead to the four charges in the 2 cases?
Not guilty.
Not guilty, okay. All right, I will accept your not guilty plea. And I
I was
want to,
guilty on the trespassing, the criminal trespassing.
are you trying to do a split plea? I don't know, if Mr. Finley,
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Mr. Dixon. Could you say that one more time?
My suspension from MARTA, wasn't up at the time of the arrest.
Mr. Dixon, I'd strongly advise, let's not speak about the facts of the case right now. I do know yesterday you adamantly said you want to do a plead not guilty on these though, correct?
Not guilty.
okay. Yeah, you don't need to talk about the particulars this morning, Mr. Dixon. This is just wanting me to know whether you're pleading guilty or not guilty, and I understand you're pleading not guilty to all charges on both cases. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I want to remind you that each case carries a maximum sentence of 1 year or 12 months in jail and $1,000 fine. They could all run consecutive or concurrent. It just depends. Your case will be further reset and noticed for a trial with the division judge. And I will accept you're not guilty in both of these cases. And it will be further reset by the division judge. They will give notice, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. You've been arraigned. All right, that will conclude this case. And are we moving back? Is that it for 3 South?
We have position 3, Mr. Buford.
Okay. This is case number 21 CR 003540F. Tony Raymond Buford, you're charged with 1 count of possession and use of drug-related objects, a 2nd count of theft by taking, both with the offense date of July the 18th, 2021. I understand, is it still going to be a negotiated plea?
Correct, Judge.
Okay. That's Mr. Finley. All right, Ms. Webb.
Yes, Your Honor, the state is recommending 12 months to serve, and these charges will run concurrently as well. The recommendation runs concurrently as well, Your Honor. 12 months to serve, 16 days, credit for time served, 8 days, a theft reduction course, alcohol, drug evaluation and treatment, 20 hours of community service, a stay away from the incident location at 2429 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, no further contact with the victim. That victim's name is spelled Tevanie, Tavani Powell, Powell, and restitution for an iPhone if that phone has not been returned to the victim, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay.
And Judge, we do agree to the state's recommendation. I did speak with Mr. Buford yesterday. Mr. Buford said that he did, in fact, return the iPhone, or they do have the iPhone back. So I believe in that case, there wouldn't need to be any kind of monetary amount paid.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I had in regards to that. And then the only other thing, Judge, is once Mr. Buford completes the theft reduction course and the 20 hours community service, and we just ask that the balance of probation could either be terminated or not reporting.
All right. What is your position on that, Ms. Webb?
No objection, Your Honor, to once all of the courses and evaluations and community services completed, Your Honor.
To be suspended or go non-reporting?
Non-reporting.
And that works with us, Judge.
Okay. All right, Mr. Finley, do you consent to the factual basis venue in this case?
I do, Judge.
Okay. And so, where are you, Mr. Buford? Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I understand that you're willing to plead guilty to the two charges that we have today, possession and use of drug-related objects and theft by taking.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to go through some questions for you in order to accept your guilty plea. And again, I need to ask you, are you presently under the influence of any drugs or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Or any medication at this time?
No, ma'am.
All right, are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
You can put your hand down. Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you're giving up or waiving your right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
You're giving up or waiving your right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And that you're giving up the right to see, hear, and confront your accusers or witnesses that may testify against you?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty today?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
And do you understand that we don't have to accept the state's recommendation, but I will for your guilty plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you are currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
And also, do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with a full understanding of the charges against you?
Freely.
All right, and as to the charge of possession and use of drug-related objects, how do you plead?
Yes.
And as to the charge of theft by taking, how do you plead?
Yes.
All right, I will accept that. And do you understand the conditions that have been read by the prosecutor?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you have the 12 months to serve, 16 days credit for time served of 8 days. They're going, these charges and your sentence will run concurrent, which means they will run together. And you have to take a theft reduction course.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
also have to do an alcohol drug evaluation and any treatment that is recommended. You have to get that done. And you have to do 20 hours of community service. And you have to stay away from 2429 Martin Luther King Drive.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're to have no further contact with Tavani Powell.
Yes, ma'am.
And they stated that you've already given back the iPhone. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation, except for those that have been administered by a physician. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I'm going to accept your guilty plea. Also, I need to add, Madam Clerk, did we add also that once he finishes all of his conditions, he will go non-reporting for the balance of the probation? All right. All right, is there anything else either council needs me to take up at this time?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
All right, I will accept the plea. All right, and good luck to you, Mr. Buford.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and who's sending me? Do I have anything else that I'm supposed to receive? Okay, that's it. Right, and Mr. Finley, you'll send over the paperwork, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that will conclude your case. Thank you.
Position number 24?
44?
24.
24. I don't have 44 cases today, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
I know, right? Right, is this Mr. Parker?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Parker and Ms. Helen and Ms. Harmon, is this going to be a negotiated plea today?
That's
Yeah.
correct, Judge.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, yes, Your Honor. The state is recommending in Mr. Parker's case, 12 months to serve 18 days, credit for time served 18 days, balance probated. he would have to do a 4-week anger management course, restitution to the victim, no further contact with the victim, and stay away from the incident location. And I'm just scrolling to his screen, Your Honor, so that I can give you the victim's name and the
Okay,
incident location. If you give me one moment.
okay,
He would have to stay away from the location of 256 Glen Street Southwest. And the victim's name in this case is Asha Parker. That's IASHA, last name Parker.
and there's no further contact, correct?
That's correct.
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of that plea. We accept. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. We would ask that once he completes those conditions, if it can go non-reporting, and also if his probation fees could be waived due to him being incarcerated, has no income, we would ask for those to be waived.
Okay,
And Your Honor, we wouldn't have any objection to the, once he meets the conditions, the probation being non-reporting.
all right. Mr. Parker, raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and Mr. Parker, this is case number 22 CR 002649Y. And you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and damage to property with the offense date of April 30th, 2022. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
All right. I'm going to ask you a series of questions in order to accept your guilty plea. The first question being, are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
I do.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you prepared and agreed to waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that the court does not have to accept the state's recommendation?
I do.
But I have chosen to do that. Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of this guilty plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charge against you?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, as to the charge of criminal trespass and damage to property, how do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, and you heard the conditions that were read by the state. That's 12 months to serve, 18 days, and credit for time served, 18 days. Balance probated, restitution to the victim. I did not hear an amount, or is there any restitution?
Your Honor, you know, we can, I didn't have the amount, so we'll strike that restitution because we weren't able to get that amount for the victim.
Understood, Judge.
Okay, so there will be no restitution. You have a 4-week anger management course that you need to complete, Mr. Parker. And you're to have no further contact with the victim, Asha Parker. And you are to stay away from 256 Glen Street Southwest. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to waive the probation fees for you so that we can help you get back on your feet. I'm going to also order that once you have completed your 4-week anger management course, that you will go non-reporting for probation, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you understand the conditions of this plea?
I do.
Okay, all right. With that being said, I will accept it, and good luck to you. And that should conclude this case. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, we have position number 27, position 27.
Okay,
And Judge, this will be a non-negotiated plea.
okay. Sorry. This is Mr. Amatrez Thomas.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, this is 22 CR 002686H. And you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and a 2nd count of giving false name, address, or birth date to law enforcement with an offense date of May 2nd, 2022.
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is 24 months to serve. As you stated, the offense date is 5/2/22, and the location, which is significant in this case, Your Honor, is 200 Edgewood Avenue Northeast. That is the 200 Edgewood apartment complex. The facts of the case are that on that date, the victim in this case, and I believe I wrote her name down. I'll have to get that in a moment, Your Honor. She woke up at 2 a.m. in her apartment, and the defendant was inside of her apartment sleeping on her couch. She does not know this defendant. When she woke up and discovered him, he did leave the apartment. Obviously, officers were called, and he was found in the parking garage of the complex. He was unable to explain why he was there, or unable to prove that he was a resident of the apartment complex. The property manager did tell officers that he had been criminally trespassed at that location numerous times. And that is correct, Your Honor, because on 4/7/2022, the defendant entered the 200 Edgewood apartments at 200 Edgewood Avenue Northeast in Atlanta. He was then at that point asking different residents to scan him up to the 4th floor, which is like a common space in the apartment complex. They called it like a study area. He claimed that he was the guest of another resident, but in fact, he was not. He was asked to leave on numerous occasions in that incident by property management, and he was even given an APD warning on 1/6/2022. And he was previously arrested on property on another APD case. What's significant about that 4/7/22 incident is that he entered a guilty plea on 4/28/2022 with 12 months probation and explicitly told to stay away from 200 Edgewood Avenue Northeast. He returned to the same place on 5/2, which is like a few days later. And now he's in somebody's apartment, sleeping on their couch in this incident. He is clearly likely to reoffend. He clearly will ignore the court's order to stay away from that location. Moreover, he had a 12/6/21 criminal trespass at a different address, and a conviction for that incident in 12/8/2020, a criminal trespass arrest at a different location. So our recommendation is supported by his conduct that he is absolutely likely to reoffend and not follow the court's order. That's the basis of our recommendation, and it's nothing further from the state, but I think it's very significant that he did plead guilty and he returned to the very same place that he was told not to return to within a few days.
All right. And you're also, I'm assuming in this plea, will be putting into place again a stay away from the 200 Edgewood Avenue Northeast, that apartment complex. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. He is not to return to that location at all. So it would be the 24 months to serve and a stay away from the incident location.
Okay. Any, no further contact with the victim, or do we, if he stays away, I guess he'll not have any contact? Do you want to add that to any of the conditions or not?
I apologize, Your Honor. Yes, no further contact with the victim. He must stay away from the incident location. And that, yes, and I just, again, highlight the fact that he is still on probation from that April 28th, 22 guilty plea to stay away from this very same location. So I definitely think the 24 months to serve in this case is appropriate because he has shown the court that he will not follow the order to stay away from this apartment complex. And I'll look up the victim's name again in Odyssey just to make sure I have it for the record, and I'll circle back around to that, Your Honor.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yes, Ms. Helen?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a non-negotiated plea. We are asking for a time served for the criminal trespass, as well as the giving false information to an officer. Judge, the maximum sentence for these misdemeanors, I feel like, is an excessive amount of time. He's done 16 days so far of confinement. I have heard his history. I went down and spoke to Mr. Thomas. And when I spoke to him, I went over the prior April 7, 2022 criminal trespass at the Edgewood. I asked him, what was the reason of returning? He said he had established a one-time escort to go back to Edgewood to retrieve any of his items, that he was under the impression he was able to do that the one time. And that happened to be the one time, May 2nd. When I spoke to him, I reiterated, there is no returning to 200 Edgewood. Whatever is there will be left there. I have enforced and reinforced this to Mr. Thomas. He has responded and told me he understands, Judge. So the maximum sentence for this criminal trespass, as well as giving false information, again, I do believe is excessive because he's 26 years old. He's already done 16 days of confinement for this criminal trespass. Prior to being arrested, he was working as a forklifter with Coca-Cola, as well as a vending machine technician, Judge. So we would ask that this would be considered time served of the 16 days. He does agree to any conditions, again, to stay away from any alleged accusers, and again, stay away from the 200 Edgewood.
Your
Was
Honor,
Mr. Thomas ever residing there?
At one point, Judge, he told me that he was, but that as the April 7th, that he was not, that he had understood he does not go back there. He has no possessions or anything to go back there for. However, when I spoke to him, he stated that he did believe he had an opportunity of a one-time escort with the sheriff to go pick up any belongings. So I have.
But he didn't use that one-time escort. He went back without the sheriff. Correct?
Correct, Judge, but he was under the impression that if he had called, which he believed he did, around April 15th, he believed he had called the sheriff to say, hey, I want to be able to go back to Edgewood to just pick up whatever I have. I do not believe that escort was with him, but he did believe that he had a one-time escort opportunity.
Okay, Ms. Harmon? Ms. Harmon?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm saying my connection is unstable. As you pointed out, Your Honor, he did not have the law enforcement escort that the court always states is a part of the escort with him. And that, you know, I don't know how he got the impression that he could escort himself, but that is not what was the appropriate conduct in this case, Your Honor. So I do think that you know, that goes further to him ignoring court orders and ignoring what the court has ordered him to do. That's more support for my argument that he didn't even follow that one condition. He went back to the very same property, and now he's in somebody's apartment on their couch, sleeping in the middle of the night. This is a stranger. This is a terrifying incident. This is escalating behavior. He went from being in the common area, now he's in someone's apartment. I don't know how he gained access to the apartment, but he was inside the apartment sleeping on the victim's couch. So, and the victim, for the record, her name is Faith Brumlow, common spelling for Faith. And then the last name is Brumel. So I definitely think this is escalating behavior, Your Honor. I think that this defendant thinks that it's okay to ignore the orders of the court. He won't follow the conditions. He won't stay away from the property. So I don't think that a 16-day term in jail is appropriate for this defendant. On the last case, from the April incident, he did about 21 days in jail, and he returned again. So I definitely think less time in this case would not discourage him from returning back to that same location. I think he needs to understand that the orders of the court are real and that they need to be followed. So because of his escalating behavior, because of his clear pattern of ignoring court orders, I still recommend 24 months to serve, stay away from this 200 Edgewood Apartments, and no further contact with this victim, Faith Brumlow. Thank you.
And Judge, I do have a printout from a May 3rd, 2022 order for bond. It does say a one-time escort with law enforcement to get belongings. So just want to state that he did have information about a one-time escort. I do understand that the sheriff or the escort was not there, but he was still under the impression that he had the ability to go back to 200 Edgewood to get his belongings for the one time.
All right. All right.
And one last thing, Your Honor. I do believe that this is student housing and that this is a Georgia State University property. This is a female student and he is not a student. And my understanding is that he is 27 years old. So we would ask that he would also be ordered to stay away from all Georgia State University property.
All right, Mr. Thomas, you're being charged with criminal trespass and giving a false name to law enforcement. And the state is requesting that you serve 24 months. Then of course you would be given credit for the 16 days that you have served. And you are currently on probation for the same offense. Looks like you served 21 days in that matter from just in a month ago, right? April. I am very, very concerned. Are you still willing to enter a guilty plea to these two charges?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As far as serving the 24 months, I am going to accept the state's recommendation for the 24 months to serve.
Judge, Mr. Thomas, you don't understand. She sentenced you to 24 months. You don't want to plead guilty and accept that, correct?
Correct. It was a negotiation. No, it's not.
Can I get a moment just to speak to Mr. Thomas on the phone, please?
Right.
Can I get a phone number that he's at courtroom 2?
It's the 2392. That's the 612-2392. Go there.
Okay, we'll hold for a second.
Y'all, you want to go to another position while they're on the phone? Position number 2,
Okay.
Biggs.
I'm not for sure if this is Miss Helen's case.
No, this should be Zach Finley's case.
Mr. Finley.
Yeah, this is mine.
Position 2.
Oh, I see it. Yes.
Yeah, this is mine, Judge.
Okay, you're 1 through 18. Gotcha. Okay. This is case number 22 CR 002744G. State versus Anthony Biggs. You're charged with 1 count of obstruction, law enforcement officer, 2nd count of battery with the offense date of May 3rd, 2022. And I understand that this is a negotiated plea.
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. All right, Ms. Webb.
Yes, Your Honor. These charges will run concurrently, 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days with the balance probated. No further contact with Ms. Stephanie Jenkins. That's Stephanie spelled STEPHNIE, Jenkins, common spelling, or excuse me, JNKINS. Stay away from 6701 Shannon Parkway, Union City, Georgia, 30291. 6-week anger management course, 20 hours of community service, and no alcohol or drugs or weapons.
All right.
And
Mr. Finley, is that
yes,
your
Judge.
understanding?
That is my understanding, Judge, of the time served. We would just ask that once Mr. Biggs does complete the anger management, once he completes the community service, if the balance of his probation could either be terminated or become non-reporting. And additionally, Judge, I'm just asking for the probation fees to be waived for Mr. Biggs.
All right. Do you have any objection, Ms. Webb?
No objection, Your Honor. We would just request that it's just non-reporting.
Okay. And with Mr. Biggs, Mr. Finley, is he not working?
I did not have a job down for him right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and finances are an issue, so that's why
Okay.
are hoping for the fees to be waived, Judge.
All right. Mr. Biggs? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, put your hand down. And Mr. Finley, I will accept the negotiated plea as stated. Do you stipulate to venue, identity, and a factual basis?
I do.
Okay. All right, Mr. Biggs, you're charged with one count of obstruction of a law enforcement officer and a second count of battery. And I'm making sure that you have understood what the conditions for the plea are as read by the state. That you have been confined for 15 days. They are recommending 12 months to serve, 30 days to run concurrent with both charges together. And you're given credit for the 15 days, credit for that time. The balance will be probated. You're to have no further contact with Stephanie Jenkins. You are to stay away from 6701 Shannon Parkway in Union City. You are to take a 6-week anger management course. You to do 20 hours of community service and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation. You understand those conditions?
Yes, ma'am.
And once you have completed your conditions, your community service, and 6 weeks of anger management, you can go non-reporting. And I will waive the probation fees.
Understood.
All right, so let me ask you a series of questions. You are pleading guilty to these charges today, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And that you are prepared to agree to waive these rights today?
Understood.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, that your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea here today?
Understood.
And that do you offer this guilty plea freely, voluntarily, with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes, ma'am.
And as to the charge of obstruction of law enforcement officer, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And as to the charge of battery, how do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, I will accept your plea and you understand the conditions. Is that correct?
Understood.
Okay. All right, I have accepted your plea and good luck to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All
Thank you, Kat. Johnny, we can go back to position 27 and then we can go to 3 South.
Okay. All right, Ms. Helen?
Yes, Judge, we're gonna be entering a plea of not guilty, waiving the bond hearing.
Okay, and waive the hearing, okay. And then we need to do an arraignment.
Correct, Judge.
And do you waive a formal reading of the accusation?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, all right. And so, Mr. Thomas, we are going to, I'm going to ask you as to the charge of criminal trespass. What is your plea?
Not guilty.
As to the charge of giving a false name or address or birthday to law enforcement officer, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
All right, and do you understand that each of these charges carries a maximum sentence of 1 year incarceration and up to $1,000 fine for both two charges, sorry, for the two charges.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that is the maximum that you could receive. And I will accept your not guilty plea. Your case will be sent to the division judge that will give you further notice of when your trial will be set, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All
Your-
right.
Your
You have been
Honor.
ready. Yes.
I know that council did waive the bond hearing, but I would like to be heard on bond in this matter. He does currently have a bond that obviously he hasn't made, but if he makes the bond, we would like to add another condition to his bond, which is that he would be required to have an ankle monitor at his expense because of the history and because of the escalation in behavior. We do think that as an appropriate condition to add to the current bond.
All right. Ms. Helen, what is the amount and other conditions on the current bond?
Judge, I have a $500 surety on the criminal trespass, as well as a $500 giving false information to an officer.
So a total of $1,000 surety bond?
Correct, Judge.
Okay. All right, I have it now. And let's see, the condition, no contact directly, indirectly with the victim or any of the victim's family in any manners, and to stay 200 yards from the victim. No further contact with Faith Brumelo. Stay away from 200 Edgewood. And then, of course, this is what you were reading earlier, the one-time escort to get at any belongings. I would again amend this bond order and state that the one-time escort is not allowed at this point. Mr. Thomas, I'm removing that condition and amending your bond. You cannot and should not go back to this location if you make bond under any circumstances with or without an escort. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I will add the ankle monitor. I will add that to the bond as well, to the bond conditions as well, that if you make bond, that you will incur the expense of an ankle monitor to make sure that you do not return to 200 Edgewood Avenue. Also, I know that the prosecutor, Ms. Harmon, asked that this stay away also encompass other Georgia State housing. Don't know if we've had any testimony or evidence that he has appeared at any other housing. Do we, Ms. Harmon or Ms. Helen?
Not that I know of, Judge.
Okay. I won't go so far just yet with that because I think the ankle monitor would suffice or help us with that to make sure that he doesn't go. And I will say that to you, Mr. Thomas, I won't put it in your bond conditions, but you will be on an ankle monitor and you should not trespass basically any other Georgia State properties or any properties ever, anywhere, certainly to not get in trouble again with the law. But I'm going to certainly right now state that you cannot go back to 200 Edgewood, but don't go back to any other Georgia State housing locations or places where you don't have privileges to be there, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That should conclude this matter. Anything else from council?
Nothing further from the state.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Uh-huh.
Y'all, we're on the 3 South, 3 South.
Next up, we have position 30.
And Ms. Helen, you'll send me that amended order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Deputy, again, 3 South, we have.
Position 30, Whitaker.
This is Kenneth Whitaker, is that correct?
Correct.
And this is case number 22 CR 002740E. I have the charge of theft by shoplifting and a second charge of criminal trespass, both with the offense date of May 3rd, 2022. And this is going to be, is it still counsel and negotiated plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Yes.
Ms. Harmon?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the state is recommending 12 months to serve, 15 days. Credit for time served, 15 days. Balance probated, a $500 fine, an anti-theft course. Stay away from the incident location of 1820 Hollywood Road Northwest, which is a Circle K gas station.
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of the plea. We do accept it. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. We would just ask for the probation fees to be waived. And once those conditions are completed, if it can be non-reporting.
There would be no objection to that, Your Honor.
Understood.
You said that's a Family Dollar location?
It's a Circle K gas.
Oh, Circle K. All right, and Mr. Whitaker, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, put your hand down for me. And so we are discussing again your plea to the two charges, theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass. How do you plead to those two charges?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Helen, do you stipulate to venue, identity, and a factual basis?
I do, Judge.
Okay, and Mr. Whitaker, I need to ask you a series of questions in order to accept your guilty plea. And the first one being, are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No, I'm not.
Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, I am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
And do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
I didn't understand that one, Your Honor.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are giving up the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself? You're giving up that right.
I'm not trying to go against it, Your Honor. I stole something. I put my hand on something that don't belong to me, Your Honor.
Oh, wait.
Hold on.
She's just asking.
I didn't know. I don't know, Your Honor. I didn't understand that one right there when you asked me about that particular question, Your Honor. I apologize for that.
Okay, not asking you about the facts of your case. If you're willing to plead guilty, give up your right to a trial. You won't be able to have that trial, not bring any witness against you, and not testify on your behalf. So you understand you're waiving and giving up all of those rights by pleading guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you're willing to do that today, correct?
Correct.
And you're also giving up and waiving your right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer, correct?
Judge who?
You're giving up your right to a trial by judge or jury, whichever you would have preferred. So whether you have a jury trial with jurors or a bench trial with the judge, you're giving up the right to both of those, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so again, has anyone told you that you would receive a lesser sentence to plead guilty today?
No, I wasn't told that I would receive a lesser sentence.
Okay, and has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty today?
No, they have not.
Okay, and do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea today?
Yes, I understand that, Your Honor.
Okay, and you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I will accept your guilty plea, and you have heard the conditions, which I will repeat one last time for you. That you have 12 months to serve 15 days. You're given credit for those 15 days. The balance will be probated. There is a $500 fine and an anti-theft course, and you're to stay away from that Circle K, the incident location at 1820 Hollywood Road. You understand that?
Yes.
And not to go back there to the Circle K under any circumstances. You got to go somewhere else for gas or drinks or anything else for that matter. Shop somewhere else. If you go back there, you'll be right back in the Fulton County Jail. Understood?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you're taking an anti-theft course. Your attorney will tell you how to do that, okay?
All right.
And then the $500 fine, you need to start paying on that while you're on probation, but I will waive your probation fees to help you to pay your fine, okay?
All right.
And then once you finish paying the fine and taking your anti-theft course, you will go non-reporting for the balance of the months left, okay?
All right.
Okay. Is there anything else, counsel, that I need to take up?
No, Judge.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Whitaker.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, next up, position 1, Baker.
This is case number 22 CR 002673G. Reginald Baker. You're charged with 1 count of simple battery family violence with the offense date of April the 30th, 2022. Is this going to be a negotiated plea?
Correct, Judge.
Okay. All right, Ms. Webb.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, the state is recommending 12 months to serve 36 days, credit for time served 18 days with the balance probated. No further contact with Ms. Frances Clark. That's Frances, Frances, Clark, common spelling. Stay away from 2301 Gobby Road, Unit C32, College Park, Family Violence Intervention Program, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
All right. Mr. Finley. Is that
Yes,
your
Judge.
understanding?
Yes, Judge, that is our understanding of the recommendation, of which we do agree. We would just ask that Mr. Baker and Miss Frances Clark do share a child together. So we would just ask that the court could put some kind of a third-party transfer, I guess, for their child that they share. Additionally, Mr. Baker does not work. He lives off of disability, so finances are an issue in his life. So we would just ask that probation fees be waived, and also that it could be non-reporting once he completes that family violence class.
All right, Mr. Baker,
Yes, ma'am.
can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth and the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
To the charge of simple battery family violence, how do you plead?
Plead guilty.
All right, and you have heard the conditions read by the state and requested by your attorney, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, in order to accept your guilty plea with those conditions, I need to ask you a series of questions. And the first being, are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up and waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you'll receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea here today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you, of the charge against you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I will accept your plea as negotiated. I will add on a condition of third-party transfer regarding visitation of your child, and that is because you're to have no further contact with the victim or the mother of that child, Francis Clark. So you need to be careful and govern yourself accordingly to not violate the conditions. So
Yes,
since you
ma'am.
cannot be around her, hopefully there is a third-party person that can kind of facilitate, negotiate, and help with that visitation, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So make sure you do that. But you've been given 12 months to serve 36 days, but they are giving you credit for time served at 18 days. Then the balance to be probated. And remember, you to stay away from 2301 Godby Road, apartment C32 in College Park. You're also to take the Family Violence Intervention program or course, which I believe is 12 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. It's a long time, so when you start, complete it and don't stop, or else I believe you have to start all over again. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation. And I'm going to waive the probation fees, and I will allow you to go non-reporting once you have completed all of those conditions. Okay, do you understand all of that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And also, since you're going to be on probation, make sure that your attorney and the clerk has your updated address and contact information.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. All right, I will have accepted your plea, and this will conclude your case.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.
All right.
Next, we have position 4, Chapel.
Okay.
And Judge, this is a non-negotiated plea with just the no further contact at issue.
Okay. This is case number 22 CR 002688E. Christopher Chappell, you're charged with 1 count of simple battery family violence, 2nd count of criminal trespass. The offense date is July the 2nd, 2021. How do you plead, Mr. Chappell?
Guilty.
Okay. And let me have Ms. Webb to present from the state.
Yes, Your Honor. The state is recommending for these to be concurrent, 12 months to serve, 32 days, credit for time served, 16 days, with the balance probated, family violence intervention program, no further contact with Miss Felicia Gates. That is Felicia FELISIA Gates, GATES. Stay away from 2280 Camilton Road, Atlanta, Georgia. Restitution for the victim's cell phone damage, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Your Honor, I believe this is a non-negotiated plea, as defense said, for contact. However, in this particular instance, the victims, in this case, is actually the defendant's grandmother. And this incident arose after Atlanta Police Department responded to a domestic dispute call, and the grandmother informed the officers that the defendant struck her in the head 3 to 4 times after she came home to the house and found their home in disarray. He was living with her at that Camilton Road address at that time. She said she called a family friend or a family member to call to come get him removed from the house, since he did not leave freely and willingly. And they told her to just call the police, in which she did. He did also take her cell phone and throw it across the room, which cost a cell phone damage about $179, Your Honor. She did not have any visible injuries at the particular time of the incident, but she did complain of head pain, and considering her age, Your Honor, the state is concerned with any conditions of contact. And if I can have one moment to update the court to see if our victim advocate was able to reach the grandmother yesterday evening, Your Honor.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Mr. Chappell, give me one moment, okay?
Yeah.
I'm about to advocate for you in just a moment here.
Yes, Your Honor, we did attempt to make contact with Ms. Gates, but we were unsuccessful in that attempt, Your Honor.
Okay, 3 South, I think we lost your video feed. Okay, there we are. Okay. Can you hear us, Mr. Chapel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's see. We need to see you.
So, Judge, this is courtroom 2.
Yes.
We're right here. Wave your hand, wave your hand. This is Mr. Chappell's in courtroom 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong courtroom. No wonder the feed went out. That would explain it. I apologize, Mr. Chapel. I was looking at the wrong courtroom. You're Mr. Christopher Chapel?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And how do you plead again to the simple battery, family violence, the criminal trespass charge?
I want to plead not guilty.
I'm sorry?
Not guilty.
Mr. Chappell, I know, do you want to, I know based on our conversation yesterday, you want to do plead guilty. We can plead not guilty, but do you want me to give you a call?
It's only because of what she read to me, and I don't recall doing anything.
Okay, Mr. Chappell, if I could have a moment to call him.
Okay. All right, Deputy, he needs to speak to his counsel. If we could go to the next case while he's doing that.
Position 13, Henderson.
I have 19 through 33.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it needs to be 19 to 33.
19 to 33.
Uh-huh.
Position 22. Mr. Mullins.
Okay.
Come on.
Yes.
All right, this is case number 22 CR 002682A. Willie Mullins, you charged with 1 count of fare evasion, 2nd count of disorderly conduct, a 3rd count of simple assault, and a 4th count of obstruction of a law enforcement officer, all with the offense date of May 2nd, 2022. And will this still be a negotiated plea?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. All right, Ms. Harmon?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, Mr. Mullins' case, the state is recommending 12 months to serve 16 days, credit for time served 16 days, balance probated, stay away from the incident location, which is 5 Points Murder Station at 30 Alabama Street, a 2-week anger management course for Mr. Mullins. Nothing further.
Yes, Your Honor. That is our understanding of the plea. We do accept it. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. We just ask for the probation fees to be waived, and that once the conditions are completed, it can be non-reporting.
There's no objection.
Okay.
Understood.
All right, Mr. Mullins, can you raise your right hand for me? And do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you can put your hand down for me. All right, Mr. Mullins, you're pleading guilty today to the 3 charges that I just read: fare evasion, disorderly conduct, and simple assault and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I'm going to ask you a series of questions before accepting your guilty plea. And the first one being, are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
Ma'am.
I'm sorry?
No, ma'am, Your Honor. No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you. I apologize. Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay, and do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
And that you're prepared to give up these rights today. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty today?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty today?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with a full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so it's 12 months to serve 16 days, credit for time served of those 16 days, and the balance will be probated. But the conditions are that you will stay away from the 5 Points MARTA station. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Okay, so you need to find other means of transportation, ride shares, or things of that nature, because you can't go back to the 5 Points MARTA station.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, or you'll be immediately rearrested, which is at 30 Alabama Street. You are also to take a 2-week anger management course, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna waive your probation fees, and I will allow you to go non-reporting after you've completed your conditions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, anything else, counsel?
Nothing further.
Okay, all right. Good luck to you, Mr. Mullins. That concludes this case. Okay.
That's position 19, Marshall.
Okay.
That'll be a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Okay. Mhm. 19. All right, this is case number 22 CR 002659J. Stephen Marshall, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I'm going back to 3 South. Okay. All right. You are charged with 1 count of affray or fighting, 2nd count of battery, substantial physical harm, and 3rd count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and a 4th count of public drunk, all with the offense date of April 30th, 2022. It is my understanding that you wish to enter a negotiated plea. Is that correct, Mr. Marshall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Harmon?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is null processing the marijuana charge. And I'll get the appropriate paperwork over to you. For the plea, we are offering 12 months to serve, 45 days, credit for time served, 17 days, balance probated, no further contact with the victim, in this case, Patrick Armstrong. Stay away from the incident location, which is 30 Alabama Street. Southwest is 5 Points MARTA station again. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. 8-week anger awareness class, and alcohol, drug testing and evaluation.
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of that plea. We do agree, we do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. We just ask that once he completes those conditions, it can be non-reporting. And we also ask that the probation fees be waived.
No objections.
And is Mr. Marshall working? Does he have a job at all?
No, Your Honor, he lost all work once he was arrested.
Gotcha. All right. Mr. Marshall, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you stipulate, Miss?
I did, Judge.
Okay. All right, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you a series of questions. The first being, are you under the present influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
All right. Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're waiving and giving up the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you're giving up and waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you freely prepared to agree and waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea here today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I understand that the possession of marijuana less than an ounce is being no pros. And so you're pleading guilty only to the 3 charges of affray, battery, substantial physical harm, and public drunk. Are you clear with that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so 12 months, 45 days, and to 45 days to serve, and credit for time served of 17 days. Balance probated, no further contact with Patrick, is it Armstrong?
Correct.
All right, and you're to stay away from the 5 Points MARTA station, just like I told the gentleman previously. Can't go back there, you'll be quickly arrested. So you need to stay away from the 5 Points MARTA station.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on probation. And you take an 8-week anger management course, and you're to get an ADTE, alcohol, drug testing with the recommended treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
So you must do all of that. Then once you've completed those conditions, you will go non-reporting, and I will waive the probation fees.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, any questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, all right, good luck to you.
Okay, thank
All right, that should conclude this matter.
Next case is position 8, Gilbert.
8.
And also, Judge, we're ready for Mr. Chapel, who I had to speak to whenever you get a chance.
Okay. What is Mr. Chapel going to do?
So Mr. Chapel actually wants to plead not guilty, so that one will just be an arraignment.
Okay. All right, let me take let's see, 8 is yours too, Mr. Finley, correct?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, do you want to do 4 or 8 first? Which one?
And we can go ahead and address Mr. Chapel, number 4, since we were in the middle of that one.
Okay, I'm sorry, Deputy, can you, oh, that's Mr. Chapel, correct?
Yeah, it looks like he's in courtroom 2. I think.
2, right, Mr. Chapel in 2. Let me do Mr. Chapel first. Can you all hold for 1 second for me? All right, Mr. Chapel.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this is case number 22 CR 002688E, Christopher Chapel. You're charged with one count of simple battery, family violence, and a second count of criminal trespass. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
All right. Do you waive a formal reading, Mr. Finley, of the arraignment? Do you waive a formal reading of the accusation?
I do, Judge.
Okay, all right. And Mr. Chapel, again, each of the charges that I've just read against you carries a maximum sentence of 1 year in jail, as well as a maximum of $1,000 fine. Because there are two charges, they could either run concurrent or consecutive, up to 24 months or $2,000 fine. Are you clear on that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and so again, I will accept your not guilty plea. Your case has been arraigned. It will be referred to the division judge, who will give you a date for trial, and you will receive further notice of that, okay?
Okay.
And Your Honor, just to give the court an update, Mr. Chapel's grandmother was able to, Mr. Walker was able to contact her. She just answered the phone. She did alert our office that she does not mind him returning. So the state will amend its recommendation if that changes his mind to no further violent contact with his grandmother, since she doesn't mind having contact with him, but she doesn't want any more violence. And we will still seek that restitution as well for that cell phone.
And that's correct. I was actually just about to say for the court as well that I did just speak with his mom, which is obviously his grandmother's daughter, and both of them stated that grandmother did want contact, and that once he does get out, she actually wants him to come back and live with her. His mom lives out in Hampton, and they want him to be in Atlanta for job opportunities, and that's where the grandmother does stay.
All right, well, he is there right now on bond. What is the bond amount?
Bond looks like it's
$2,000 surety for the simple battery and $500 signature bond on the criminal trespass. This is a split bond.
Okay. All right, so it's a $2,500 split. All right, and I think it's fine. If we're asking, are you asking to have no further violent contact with Felicia Gates?
Yes, Your Honor, that is what the request is from the state. And as far as the recommendation goes, we will have all conditions as stated previously, except we will waive the stay away order and amend the no further contact to no further violent contact.
Okay. All right, if everyone's in agreement with that, then I will accept an amended bond order for no further violent contact and remove the stay away from the Campbellton Road. Is that correct?
Yes, please, Judge.
All right, and I will continue with the same bond amounts, the 2,000 surety and the 500 signature bond through the jail. Also remember, Mr. Chappell, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while you're on bond. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I'll accept your not guilty plea. Does that conclude this matter?
Yes, Judge. And do I submit a amended bond of just the no further?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, send your orders to Miss Grace. All right, and who do we have, deputy? I'm sorry.
Guy Gilbert, position 8.
8, okay. Here, Mr. Wilson Gilbert.
Yes.
Okay, this is 18 CR 0096955Y. You're charged with 1 count of theft by shoplifting with the offense date of November 30th, 2016. And is this an arraignment or a plea?
This is a negotiated plea, Judge.
Okay. All right, Ms. Webb.
Yes, Your Honor, the state is recommending 12 months to serve, 18 days, credit for time served 9 days with a balance probated, a theft reduction course, and a stay away from Home Depot. We're awaiting that address. I can update the court with that address, Your Honor, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay. Is that your understanding, Mr. Finley?
That's my understanding, Judge. And we would just ask that once Mr. Gilbert does complete the theft reduction course, if his probation could be terminated, or at the very, very least, not reporting. Mr. Gilbert has had 3 strokes. He has a lot of trouble with movement in the left part of his body, and he has an extremely difficult time walking, if you could see when he came up. So we are hoping that once he does complete that, if he could be off probation.
Your Honor, the state will request that it just goes to non-reporting because unfortunately, although we are sympathetic to his health history, he does have a long and extensive history that include theft offenses. And actually, he had several shoplifting cases, some of which just slipped through the statute of limitations loophole. But we are concerned with the risk of reoffending here. And I'm not for sure if the defendant knows that that 4th conviction will make this a felony.
Okay. All right, I will waive the fees, but I will allow him to go non-reporting. I won't terminate at the completion of the conditions, okay?
Understood, Judge. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a series of questions in order to accept your guilty plea. And that is my understanding that you wish to plead guilty to the theft by shoplifting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down for me. And are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time? Can you hear me? Are you under the influence of any drugs, medication, or alcohol at this time?
No.
All right. Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up and waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes.
That you're giving up and waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes.
That you're giving and waiving up the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes.
And are you prepared to agree and waive these rights today?
Yes.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea today?
Yes.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charge against you?
Yes.
All right, I will accept your guilty plea. I'm going to remind you again of your conditions: 12 months to serve, 18 days, and credit for 9 days. The balance will be probated. You are to take a theft reduction course, and you are to stay away from the Home Depot located
That's 2525 Piedmont Road, Atlanta, Your Honor.
2525 Piedmont Road. You are not to go back there, else you'll end up back in the Fulton County Jail. You understand?
Yes.
Okay, please stay away from there. And also no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation, except for those prescribed by a doctor, okay? And I'll waive your fees, and then you can go non-reporting once you've completed the theft reduction course. Are we clear?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Position 13, Mr. Henderson, position 13.
This is case number 22 CR 002746Y, Tazbar Henderson.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay, and you're charged with certain acts on bus, rail, or station that are prohibited. Second charge of criminal trespass. Third charge of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. All with the offense date of May 3rd, 2022. Ms. Webb?
Yes, Your Honor, the state is recommending 12 months to serve, 28 days, credit for time served, 14 days, with the balance suspended, and a stay away from MARTA at the airport station, which is 1 Atlanta Airport, Atlanta, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay. Mr. Finley, is that your understanding?
Yes, Judge, that's our understanding of the recommendation, of which we agree, and additionally stipulate the factual basis, venue, and ID.
Okay. All right, Mr. Henderson?
Hey, how
Can
you
you,
doing?
I'm fine. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes,
All right, put your hand down for me. And you have heard the charges against you. Are you willing to plead guilty to those 3 charges today?
my lawyer said, if I say guilty, I'll get to go home today.
You will be released. They are giving you credit for your time served of the 14 days. That is correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would
so,
like that.
okay. All right, let me ask you a series of questions. Are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No,
Are you satisfied with the service as a representation of your attorney?
yes,
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up and waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
yes,
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up and waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
yeah,
That you are giving up and waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer? And are you prepared to waive these rights today?
yes,
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
no,
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
no,
And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea here today?
yes,
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
yeah,
Okay. And again, 12 months to serve, 28 days, credit for 14 days. Ballots probated or suspended.
I'm
To be
suspended,
suspended, Your Honor.
Balance suspended. You are to stay away from the MARTA station at the airport, One Atlanta Airport. If you go back there, you'll end up back here. So please do not go back to the MARTA station at the Atlanta Airport. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, while on probation. All right.
I'm lost. What's going on?
I'm sorry, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation or once you get out.
When I'm getting out?
Well, as soon as they clear you to be released, I can't tell you the exact hour or the time, but it should be within 24 hours or less.
Oh,
Yeah, that will be up to
yeah,
the
I hear
jail.
this 1 year stuff.
No, that's what it would have been.
Yeah.
That's what it could have been.
That day, I don't know. I went to the airport.
Don't talk about the facts. I don't want to hear that now.
Yes, ma'am.
Now that you've entered your guilty plea, the case has been concluded. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, counsel, that I need to take up?
nothing further. Thank
Nothing
you.
further from the state, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Good luck to you, okay?
Take care.
Okay.
Now, position number 22, Mr. Willie Mullins. Position number 22.
That's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Mullins, you said?
Yes, position
Okay.
number 22.
Thank you.
Are we sending our orders to Miss Grace today?
Yes, it
Okay.
is Miss Grace today.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Did we do Mr.
Oh, we
Mullins?
did 22,
Yeah.
didn't we? I know, everyone's going,
Oh, you did 22 already? I'm sorry, Yana, I wasn't in the courtroom when you did it.
Oh, that's right. We had the other, yes, we did.
Oh.
He's already pled guilty.
Right.
Okay,
Someone.
yeah, you go sit over there.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Position 7, Mr. Frank, position 7.
Okay. This is case number 21 CR 001841H. Is it Sequavius Franklin?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, family violence. 2nd count, giving false information to a law enforcement officer. And a 3rd count of obstruction of a law enforcement officer, all with the offense date of April the 12th, 2021. And I understand that this is a negotiated plea,
That's correct, Judge.
okay? And Ms. Webb.
Yes, Your Honor. The state is recommending 12 months to serve 16 days, credit for time served 8 days. This shall run concurrently with the balanced probated family violence intervention program restitution to Ms. Desiree Dix. That's Desiree DESERAE Dix DIX. No further contact with Ms. Dix and stay away from 616 Amal, that's AMAL Drive, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. 20 hours of community service and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay. Mr. Finley, is that your understanding of the plea?
Yes, Judge, that is our understanding that it would be time served. Additionally, Judge, we would just ask that once he does complete those conditions that were just mentioned, if he could be non-reporting. And additionally, Judge, finances are an issue in Mr. Franklin's life. So just asking for the probation fees to be waived.
Okay. All right, Mr. Franklin, can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone told you that you receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty today?
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty today?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea today?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and as to the charge of battery, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
And as to the charge of criminal trespass, how do you plead?
Plead guilty.
I'm sorry, I read the wrong first charge, Mr. Franklin. As to the charge of criminal trespass, family violence, how do you plead?
I plead guilty, Your Honor.
And as to the charge of giving false information to law enforcement, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
And as to the charge of obstruction of law enforcement officer, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
Okay, so those are the three charges in your case. And again, they're to run concurrent, 12 months to serve 16 days, credit for 8. You're to take a family violence intervention program. You are to pay restitution to Ms. Diggs for the dresser and mirror that were damaged. Do we know that amount, counsel?
Your Honor, I'm double verifying it now.
Okay.
One moment and I'll update the court.
Okay. Morning. Mr. Finley, what's the relationship here to the victim and the defendant? Do we know?
Oh, sorry, Judge, I was on mute. Could you say that one more time? You cut off for a second.
Do we know what the relationship is between the defendant and this victim?
Yep, Mr. Franklin, you share a child with Ms. Dixon, correct?
Yes, I said 2 kids by her.
Yeah, they do share.
Child together?
Yeah, they do. So we would also need a third party transfer.
Okay.
And Mr. Franklin, do you have any property of yours or anything that?
No, I don't stay with her.
Okay, just want to make sure you didn't need a police escort to retrieve anything of yours.
Okay. I just usually sometimes say what that restitution is. I'd like to have the amount if I can.
Yes, Your Honor. Unfortunately, we've actually reached out to Ms. Dix several times and she has yet to return and requested that information, Your Honor. So for now, we might have to just have a hearing on it, but it is less than $500. It's for the mirror that was attached to a dresser.
Okay. So do you want to do 350 or 400? Or would you have, I don't know that it's significant enough to have a hearing later on it. But
yes, Your Honor. I think 350 is reasonable for
Okay.
considering the facts of the way the dresser is described. It sounds like one of those big, long dressers that come with a really nice mirror on top.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Franklin, you wish to plead guilty to these charges, is that correct? Mr. Franklin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you have heard the conditions by the state, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and so, Mr. Franklin, I'm gonna ask you a series of questions, okay?
Okay.
All right, are you presently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No, Your Honor.
All right, are you satisfied with the services and the representation of your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up and waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're giving up and waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're giving up and waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you prepared to waive these rights today?
Yes, Your Honor.
And has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty today?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea here today?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with a full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and so 12 months to serve, 16 days, credit for 8, running concurrent, balance probated, family violence intervention program, and we're going to order $350 restitution to Ms. Dix. But you're also to have no further contact with Ms. Dix while you're on probation. You're to stay away from 616 Amal Drive Southwest, 20 hours of community service, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while on probation. Once you complete all of those conditions and the FVIP, I believe it is 12 weeks, if I'm not incorrect.
Your Honor, it's 24 weeks.
24, thank you. I'm sorry. I think I misstated it prior. 24 weeks, so it's quite a long course. And once you complete that, as well as your 20 hours of community service, then you can go non-reporting for the balance of your probation. And I will waive the probation fees. Oh, also one other thing I need to include, if Mr. Franklin is going to have visitation with the child, that there will be a third-party transfer so that he doesn't violate the conditions of probation, because he cannot have any contact with the victim. So if you want to see your child and have exchange, you need to have someone else contact her and arrange that and facilitate that visitation with you so that you don't violate, okay?
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Now, position number 10, Mr. Hambrick, position number 10.
Yes, how you doing?
All right, this is case number 21 CR 0063488. Is it Roshan Hambrick?
Yes, ma'am.
You're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and a 2nd count of theft by taking, both with the offense date of 11/12/2021. And this is negotiated plea?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay, and Mr. Hambrick, how are you going to plead to the criminal trespass and theft by taking charges? Can't hear you?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am. I said that I plead guilty, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, who's for the state? All right, Ms. Harmon?
No, Your Honor, it's actually, I think, ASG Webb's case, and she just advised that her laptop cut off, so she might need a moment kind of reconnecting.
Oh, yes, I see she has disappeared from me.
Yeah, so she
We'll
might.
hold for a second, or do we want to take it to case deputy? The state's connection has gone bad, Deputy. So she's trying to log back in.
Okay. What about position number 14, Mr. Humphries? Is she on that case also?
Yes, she has 1 through 19, so it would have to be something at the back of the calendar for me to do it.
Well, that's all we have left is 10, 14, and 16 in courtroom 2. The other guys is on the floor, and there's an officer roving.
Oh, let's see if she is able to get on in a second as I am speaking very slowly. to allow, because as soon as I click over to something else, she'll get right on and you know how that will go. Let's see. Who do we have in our courtroom? Is he? Sir, are you on the calendar today?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here today. Good morning, Your Honor, first of all.
Good morning.
I was supposed to be here at 1 o'clock. Pretty much started the motion.
Oh, you for the 1 o'clock. Okay. All right. You can sit and observe while you wait. Well, now I said that and trying to move us along. She hasn't been able to get back on yet. Did I hear a 19? Is she 19 as well? All the rest of these, Ms. Harmon, are hers, right?
Yes, anything 1 through 18 is hers, and I have the last part of the calendar.
I hate to switch courtrooms on them and go back and forth if I can help it. Good old internet.
Your Honor, we could see who South Annex has.
Okay, let's do that.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, and you?
I'm good. Who do we have down there with you?
Okay, we have Miss Radar. Her attorney, Mr. Bennett, is on the Zoom. Miss Radar, have a seat there, please.
Sorry about that, Your Honor. I apologize to the court. My computer just shut off.
I knew this was going to happen. As soon as we switched, you would come on. I wasn't hoping that you didn't. But,
We can do that private attorney and then we can come back to courtroom 2.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right. We are on position 25, Miss Radar. Is it Christian Radar?
Rador.
I'm sorry?
Christian Rador.
What's your last name again?
Rador.
Oh, Rador, R-A-D-O-R.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I was making sure. Sorry for mispronouncing it.
It's okay.
You're charged with 1 count of, and this is 22 CR 002693C, and you're charged with 1 count of stalking, misdemeanor, a 2nd count of driving, fleeing, or attempting to elude a police officer, 3rd count with reckless driving, 4th count of driving improper passing in a no passing zone, and 5th count of failure to obey stop sign, all with the offense date of April 24th, 2022. And I have your counsel on, Mr. Jerome Lee, is that correct?
Your Honor, I'm here on behalf of Mr. Lee. My name is Eli Bennett.
Say that again for me.
Eli Bennett, Your Honor, I'm an associate of Jerome Lee's.
Okay, and it's Mr. Bennett, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, all right, we've got you there. And this is Ms. Harmon's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, is this going to be a plea?
Your Honor, at this time, we'll be waiving formal arraignment, entering a plea of not guilty. We'd like to go through the discovery process. If counsel's amenable, we would appreciate if the offer could be held open for 30 days. She has a pending felony charge. It's actually resulting in her continued detention. We're working on a bond for that charge at this time, but we'd like to do that before we proceed on this case.
Okay, is that okay, Ms. Harmon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, counsel.
And so with you waiving the reading of the accusation, Ms. Radar, and please forgive me. Say it one more time for me.
Ms. Rador.
Rador.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you pleading to the charges that I have just read?
Not guilty, ma'am.
All right, not guilty. All right, this will serve as your formal arraignment and notice. Each of these charges carries a maximum sentence of 12 months incarceration and up to a $1,000 fine. They could run either concurrent or consecutive, which could possibly, with 5 charges, be up to adding them together 5 years or $5,000 fines, the maximum. And I want you to know that you have been formally arraigned today. Your case will be noticed by the division judge for further notice for trial. And again, your attorney will get those notices on your behalf of your future court dates, okay? All right, if that concludes our issues, we don't have anything else for counsel, right?
I don't believe so, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Take care.
You as well.
Okay.
Your Honor, back to position number 10, Mr. Hambrick.
Okay. All right, Mr. Roshan Hambrick, 21 CR 0063488. Your charge is 1 count of criminal trespass, 2nd count of theft by taking, with the offense date of 11/12/2021. And I understand this will be a negotiated plea.
That's correct, Judge.
All right, and Mr. Hambrick, how do you plead to those 2 charges?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, how do you plead to the criminal trespass and theft by taking?
Like I plead guilty, ma'am.
Okay, all right, Ms. Webb?
Yes, Your Honor, the state is recommending 12 months to serve, 24 days, credit for time served 12 days, with the balance probated, a stay away from Clark Atlanta campus, a theft reduction course, 20 hours of community service, and the balance, the state does agree to have the balance suspended after completion of the theft course and community service hours, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay, is that your understanding, Mr. Finley, of the plea?
Ms. Judge, that is our understanding of the plea offer, of which we do agree, and additionally stipulate the factual basis, ID, and venue, Judge.
Okay, Mr. Hambrick, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to ask you a series of questions in order to accept your guilty plea. The first being, are you currently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time? Can you hear me, Mr. Hambrick? Uh-oh. Oh, there you come. Mr. Hambrick, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
All right. Are you currently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No.
All right. Are you satisfied with the services of representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up and waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes.
Are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charge against you?
Yes.
All right, I will accept your guilty plea as agreed today. Let me explain the conditions one last time.
Yes.
12 months to serve, 24 days, credit for 12 days. Your balance of the probation will be suspended after completion of the theft course and the community service. So you can take the theft course and the 20 hours of community service. Once you complete those, the balance will be suspended, and you won't be on probation anymore. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am. And does that mean, yeah, like, do you know what time, like, that I'm getting out today, so I can try to go take care of this stuff?
Yes, of course. The jail will have to clear you for release to make sure there are no holds from anywhere else. Within 24 hours, hopefully, or less, you will be released as soon as you meet that clearance, okay?
All right.
And then the jail will release you. And remember, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while you're on probation. All right, is there anything else that we need to take up, counsel?
Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, all right, good luck to you, Mr. Hambrick.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Next, Your Honor, position number 14, Mr. Reginald Humphrey, position 14.
Okay. Mr. Reginald Humphrey. This is case number 18 CR 00519-2Y.
What's up, Rich?
Yes, and you're charged with one count of failure to yield right of way to vehicle, driving while license suspended or revoked, possession of open alcohol container, and DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol less safe. Those 4 charges have an offense date of July 23rd, 2017. And this is going to be a negotiated plea.
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. And Mr. Humphrey, how do you plead to those 4 charges?
Guilty.
I didn't hear you.
Guilty.
Guilty, okay. And Ms. Webb?
Yes, Your Honor, the state is recommending 12 months to serve 18 days, credit for time served 9 days to run concurrently with the balance probated, alcohol, drug evaluation and treatment, 40 hours of community service, a $300 fine, risk reduction course, and no driving without a valid license, and as well as the VIP course as well, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. That VIP, is that that's a victim impact panel?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Finley, is that your understanding of the plea offer?
Yes, Judge. That is our understanding of the plea offer for Mr. Humphrey. We would just ask that the probation fees could be waived for Mr. Humphrey, as finances are an issue in his life, and that would help him keep his head above water.
All right. Okay, Mr. Humphrey, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a series of questions in order to accept your guilty plea. The first being, are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No.
You can put your hand down.
Okay.
Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up and waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, I understand.
That you're giving up and waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, I understand.
That you're giving up and waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Are you prepared to agree and waive these rights today?
Yes.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, that your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea here today?
Yes.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I will accept your guilty plea, and you have heard the conditions. And once you complete your community service, as well as your alcohol, drug evaluation and treatment, you also have a $300 fine that needs to be paid. Probation will tell you about that. Risk reduction course, and no driving until you get a valid license from DDS. And you're, I'm sorry?
I already have my license. My license been real. I got the paper. I've been driving already. I've been having my license back.
They gave you your license back?
Yeah, they never was suspended. That's why I don't understand that. My license was never suspended. I got my license now.
Okay, well, you double check that when you get out before you start driving, just to be on the safe side. Okay?
Yeah, my lady works in MDV, motor vehicle.
Okay, well, just double check that to make sure that you're not driving, assuming they're not suspended, and they might be. Because we're going to send in some information to them as well.
Okay.
You are to complete one victim impact panel as well in regard to this DUI plea. And then, did I say risk reduction course? I'm not for sure if I did. And again, the 12 months to serve 18 days credit for time served of the 9 days. These charges are going to run concurrent, which means all together. And then I will waive your probation fees. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck to you.
You good? I'm good? Yeah.
And now we have position number 16, Mr. Michael Jones, Jr.
And I would need to speak with Mr. Jones for his position's called. At least on the offers that I got, his position was cut off.
I was just telling Miss Grace the same thing. I don't have a
Yeah.
16.
Yeah,
I have.
yeah, the offers that Mr. Walker sent out, I think it jumped from position 15 to position 17.
I can read the offer on the record, Your Honor.
If you could, Ms. Webb, if you don't mind sending it to me, because I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, sure.
What are we doing, Finley?
Oh, yes.
I'm gonna need to speak with him because I did not have an offer for him, so I did not.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sending it to you now.
Okay, because I had it down as a jail jury arraignment.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake because I did not talk to him.
Okay.
But you said he was in position 16?
He is position 16. We just didn't have it down as a plea or an offer.
Gotcha. He's waiting by the phone, filling the 2392.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, can I go over to Sal?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Who do we have it for, Sal?
32.
Okay. Eric Williams?
Yes, Judge, that's my case.
Okay, great. Mr. Williams, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You can? I can't hear you very well. Can you hear me a little bit?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
scoot a little closer. Okay. Thank you. This is case number 18 CR 001824A. Chris Williams, you're charged with DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol as safe, speeding, driving without a valid license, possession of open alcohol container, all with the offense date of February the 9th, 2016. And I understand that this is to be,
That's not me.
I'm sorry, Judge, are we talking to position 32, Eric Williams?
no, I am in error. I'm doing 31, which is Chris Williams. So, no wonder
got
he's
me
kind of
too.
looking at me like, Judge, and I apologize. Wrong Williams. Let me start over, Mr. Williams. You are Eric Williams, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. 22 CR 002742D. Now, does this sound better? You're charged with one count of criminal trespass, damage to property, lord or prowl, giving a false name, address, or birth date to law enforcement officer in public drunk, all with the offense date of May 3rd, 2022. Okay, you familiar with those charges, Mr. Eric Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. Again, and how do you plead to those charges?
Guilty, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And so, Ms. Harmon, what do you have? What have you all offered?
In Mr. Williams' case, the state is offering 12 months to serve, 180 days, credit for time served, 15 days, balance probated, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, alcohol, drug evaluation testing, no further contact with the victim, who is Jasmine, common spelling, and the last name I'm just going to spell, it's HOUSHYANL. No further contact with that victim, and to stay away from the incident location, which is 761 MOROSGO Drive in Atlanta. And this is non-negotiated. So the facts of the case in this instance, Your Honor, the incident date is 5/3/2022. The defendant jumped onto the victim's patio and attempted to pry open her kitchen window with a screwdriver. When officers were called, he appeared to be under the influence of either drugs or alcohol. He was also cited for consuming alcohol while operating a bike. And when he was asked his name, he gave law enforcement the name of Kenneth Wells as opposed to his name of Eric Williams when he was asked. Your Honor, I think that the recommendation in this case is fair in light of the fact of just the heart of the incident, that he did try to come into her home and he did have a screwdriver and he was trying to pry open the kitchen window. And so our recommendation for him to serve the 180 days, I think is supported. There's nothing further.
Okay.
Yes, Judge, this is a non-negotiated plea. We are asking for a recommendation of 60 days to serve with a stay away from the alleged accused. When I went and spoke to Mr. Williams, he understands how serious these charges and these allegations are. That's why we're asking for a recommendation of 60 days to serve, again, with the conditions of staying away, no further contact. Again, the allegations are very serious, Judge. And I want you to know, when I spoke to Mr. Williams, he understands that. That is why he wants to resolve this case and move forward through with the conditions. Okay, Judge? So we are asking for a recommendation of 60 days to serve.
Okay. Anything else from the state?
Your Honor, did you want his history or to hear from pretrial on?
Briefly, yes. Trial there, or do you have it? Oh, there she goes. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. 36 cycles with history in Georgia, Texas, and Florida. Last arrest was October of 2021 for entering auto, 2 counts, and criminal trespass, 3 counts.
Where was that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
What state?
That was here in Fulton County.
Understood, thank you.
Okay.
Record indicates an open case pending. That's 113670. That's the last arrest. Also, an open probation for burglary, 3 counts, 12 SC 107731, sentenced August of 2018, 10 years confinement and 10 years probation. Additional open probation for theft by receiving stolen property, 18 SC 157974, sentenced April of 2018, 1 year confinement and 9 years probation. Nothing further.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. So I definitely, I have found some of that history myself. But I did want the court to hear the history from pretrial, just to emphasize that he is this was more than a serious incident. This is dangerous to the community. This is dangerous to the victim. This is very dangerous, and it kind of aligns with the history that you've heard, Your Honor. So I think that our recommendation is more than supported in light of the fact that he does have the open case and that he does have the open probations. I think that it's more than fair for him to serve the sentence that the state is recommended in this case.
Okay. Counsel, with Mr. Williams, the state has asked for 12 months to serve, 180 days with credit for time served on 15 days. And Ms. Helen is asked for 60 days. With that history, I'm going to ask for 90 days and then credit for the 15. All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, did you understand that?
Yes.
Can I get a chance to speak to Mr. Williams just quickly?
Okay,
Hold on.
we'll hold a second.
What's the number to 4 South?
You're gonna have to do a breakout session.
Oh, because you all don't have a phone there.
The computer is, we're using the computer to have the internet access, so the phone is disconnected.
Oh, okay. Who's my host? Mr. Jordan or? Ms. Champion. Ms. Champion, can we do a breakout real quick with Ms. Helen and the defendant in Fort South?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, while they doing the breakout, I think Michael Jones and Mr. Finley, they're ready.
Okay.
And for Mr. Michael Jones Jr., this will be a negotiated plea, Judge.
Okay. This is case number 21 CR 004309A. Mr. Michael Jones Jr., is that you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're being charged with 1 count of theft by receiving stolen property, expired tag or unregistered vehicle, driving while license suspended or revoked. Those 3 charges with an offense date of August the 2nd, 2020. How do you plead to those charges?
Guilty.
Okay, and Ms. Webb?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Jones' case, the state is recommending 12 months to serve, 24 days, credit for time served 12 days with the balance probated, a theft reduction course, 40 hours of community service, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Repeat that one more time for me, please.
Yes, Your Honor. 12 months to serve, 24 days, credit for time served 12 days, balance probated, a theft reduction course, 40 hours of community service, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
And that is our understanding of the recommendation, Judge, of which we do agree. We would just ask that once Mr. Jones does complete the theft reduction course and the 40 hours community service, if he could be non-reporting.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jones, I will accept your plea, but before I do that, let me ask you a series of questions, okay?
Sure.
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down for me. Are you presently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No.
All right, are you satisfied with the services of your, and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes.
That you're giving up and waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you prepared to agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you'll receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
I do.
All right. And so we have heard the state's offer, 12 months, served 24 days, credit for time served 12 days, balance probated, you to take a theft reduction course, and 40 hours of community service, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation. Once you complete those conditions, you will go non-reporting. Do you understand that, Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, I will accept your guilty plea with the conditions as stated. And is there anything else I need to take up, counsel?
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Good luck
you,
to
Father.
you. All right,
Your Honor, we completed here in courtroom 2. May we be excused?
yes, you may. Have a
Thank
good week.
Well, I'll see you at 2 o'clock if you're on 2 o'clock for misdemeanor.
Nope, I'll be on 1 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Hello,
Go
South
back
End.
to, we can go back to 32 Williams.
Oh, okay, let's do Williams, okay,
Yes.
And Judge, that'll be a negotiated plea.
okay. All right, this is Mr. Eric Williams, correct? 22 CR 0027442D. And you are accepting the state's offer to plead guilty. Is that correct, Mr. Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so I've already read your charges, and the state's offer was 12 months to serve 180 days.
Judge, he's accepting the 90-day recommendation that was offered by the court, not the state's 180-day.
And I'm sorry, I do have that written here. Thank you, Ms. Helen.
Yes,
12 months to serve 90 days, credit for time served at 15 days, balance probated, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation. You are to take an ADET, which is alcohol drug evaluation and treatment if recommended. No further contact with the victim, Jasmine, and I want to say it's Halchinal. You're also to, it says pay restitution to the victim for damages. Do we have an amount at all?
No, Your Honor, I'm gonna have to strike that because we weren't able to get that amount from the victim.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay, thank you. We'll strike that. And then you're to stay away from 761, is it Morisego Drive?
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Okay. And I have here that the loitering merges into the criminal trespass and damage to property. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And so, Mr. Williams, is that your understanding as well? And you still wish to enter a guilty plea?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to ask you a series of questions to make sure before I accept. The first one being, are you presently under influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea here today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and so as to these charges, how do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, I will accept that. And again, you've heard your conditions, and good luck to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
This case is 28.
28.
And Judge, that's a negotiated plea, position 28.
Okay. This is case number 22 CR 002683D. And is this Ahmad Van Winkle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're charged with 1 count of possession and use of drug-related objects, 2nd count of theft by taking, and a 3rd count of criminal trespass, all with the offense date of May 2nd, 2022. Ms. Harmon?
Yes, in this case, for Mr. Van Winkle, the state is recommending 12 months to serve, 16 days, credit for time served, 16 days, balance probated, an anti-theft course, an alcohol, drug evaluation and treatment, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and stay away from all Georgia State University property.
Yes, Your Honor, that is our understanding of the plea. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. We also ask that once those conditions are completed, if it would be non-reporting, we also ask that those probation fees be waived for Mr. Van Winkle.
Okay.
We have no objection.
All right. All right, Mr. Van Winkle, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury? Can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, you can put your hand down for me. I need to ask you a series of questions before accepting your guilty plea. The first one being, are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time? Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up and waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you're giving up and waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
That you're giving up and waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I will accept your guilty plea to the charges as read. And you understand that the state has offered you 12 months to serve 16 days, credit for 16 days, balance probated, you to take an anti-theft course, ADET, which is alcohol, drug evaluation and recommended treatment, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while you're on probation, and you are to stay away completely from all Georgia State University properties. Can you do that? Yes. You have a question?
So I have to do a year minus 12 days?
No.
Oh,
They're
okay.
giving, you've already served 16 days,
Yes,
and they're
ma'am.
giving you credit for time served of those 16 days. So
Yes, ma'am.
once you're cleared by the jail, you'll be released.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Okay? But you will be on probation. I'm gonna waive your fees. And then once you've completed the theft course ADET, then you can go non-reporting for the balance of your probation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, who do we have next? Deputies?
South Annex, Your Honor.
Yes.
Before you is Ms. Hackney, position number 9.
Okay. You are Kayla Hackney.
Yes.
All right, this is case number 22 CR 002669J. You're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and damage to property, 1 count of disorderly conduct, property, pedestrian darting out in traffic, and disorderly conduct, all with the offense date of April 30th, 2022. Ms. Webb?
Yes, Your Honor. And I just wanted to confirm with Attorney Finley that this is a negotiated plea.
That's correct.
Okay, yes, Your Honor. The state is recommending 12 months to serve 34 days, credit for time served 17 days to run concurrently on all charges with a balance probated, 8-week anger management courses, restitution to the victim, Mr. Gregory George, and no further contact with Mr. George, an alcohol, drug evaluation and treatment program, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Your Honor, as to this particular case, the defendant is alleged to have thrown a boulder rock at that victim's vehicle while he was passing on Donald Lee Hollowell. We will need to verify how much damage was actually done to his car at that time, but it does appear that it was a windshield that was shattered, Your Honor.
Okay. And is it an amount that you'll be able to determine today? Or can I set it at $1,000? Just guessing, if they had insurance, it may be less, but I'm not sure.
I'm double verifying. 1 second, Your Honor.
Okay. On this case.
And I'm obviously no expert on car repair, but I just did a quick Google search. I said
Okay.
without insurance, $200 to $400. Like I said, I don't know, but I just looked it up.
Oh, so I came in kind of high, huh?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I just did. It was just the first thing that popped up.
Right.
Yes, correct, Your Honor. The state would agree to $400. I just went back to glance. So based on the damage to that vehicle, $400 is a fair amount, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. We will do that. And then who's the, on here, it's no further contact with Gregory George as the victim?
Yes, that's the, it appears that this was actually a random case, Your Honor. Mr. George told the officer that he doesn't know her, but that she was walking on the street, and as he passed by, she picked up a boulder rock and just threw it at his car. Not for sure if they had some contact that just isn't known to the court or to our office, Your Honor, but just to be safe, we're going to request no further contact.
Okay.
And and we're gonna agree to that no contact, Judge, and agree to the rest of recommendation. We just ask that the probation fees be waived, and that once she does complete paying that restitution for the windshield, the anger management, that she could be on non-reporting status.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Ms. Hackney, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
And to those charges that I read, how would you like to plead today?
Guilty.
Okay, let me ask you a series of questions. The first one being, are you under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No.
Okay, you can put your hand down for me. And are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving or waiving up the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes.
And do you understand that you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes.
Are you prepared to agree to waive these rights today?
Yes.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
Yes.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence if you plead guilty?
No. No.
No? Okay. Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No.
Okay. And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of the guilty plea today?
Yes.
Okay. And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to the criminal trespass, damage to property, disorderly conduct property, and pedestrian darting out in traffic and disorderly conduct. The offer and your acceptance is a 12 months to serve 34 days. You're being given credit for time served of 17 days. These charges will run concurrent. Balance will be probated. You must complete the 8-week anger management course. You must pay restitution to the victim, Gregory George, in the amount of $400. And you must have no further contact with the victim, Gregory George. You must complete an ADET, which is alcohol drug evaluation and treatment recommendation. And you are to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation. I will waive your probation fees. You will go non-reporting once you've completed all of the conditions of this probation. And then you won't have to report. All right, any questions?
No.
Okay, all right, that should conclude this plea. And that will conclude this matter. Good luck to you.
Next, we have position 26, Ms. Satterwhite.
Judge, I have that position 26 was reset to the competency calendar.
Okay. That's what you have, Melissa.
As well as position 23, just want to make sure I got the right notes.
Yeah, we do need dates. Do you all have any dates?
I have a July 5th.
Okay, July 5th. Okay, good. Thank you. For both?
Yes.
All right, so 23rd is a reset to July 5th. Competency calendar. And number 26, Satterwhite, is that the other one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, reset to July, is it 5th? All right. And I apologize, Deputy, who do we have at South Annex?
Okay, so we don't need position 26 then?
Right.
Satterwhite.
Right, we do not.
Okay, Ms. Satterwhite, have a seat. They'll reset your case, okay?
And
So you're gonna
yeah,
come back
briefly, for those positions, I'm not, well, for position 26, I didn't see a competency order filed. If we are going to reset it to that calendar, the order has to be filed.
MHE, I have filed it. I'll forward it over to you.
Okay, it's not showing Odyssey, so thank you.
Have a seat over there, Ms. Satterwhite.
Thank you.
Ms. Walker? Position 29, Ms. Walker.
Okay. All right, 22 CR 002782E. Is it Shakara Walker?
Good afternoon, ma'am. It's Shakira.
Shakira, okay.
Shakira Walker, yes, ma'am.
And Judge, that'll be a negotiated plea.
All right. And Ms. Walker, you're charged with 1 count of theft by shoplifting. And the offense date is May 1st, 2022. And this is Ms. Harmon's case.
Yes, Your Honor. In Ms. Walker's case, the state has offered 12 months to serve, 30 days. It's a mandatory 30 days with credit for time served for 12 days. She cannot receive any sheriff credit. The balance will be probated. She must pay a $500 fine, an anti-theft course, and she must stay away from the incident location, which is 4735 State Route in Union City, Georgia. And I believe that's a Walmart store that she must not return to.
Yes, Judge, that is our understanding of that plea. We do accept it. We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID. We would just ask that once she completes those conditions, it can be non-reporting, as well as have her probation fees waived because she's lost all employment due to incarceration.
I would not object to the probation fees being waived, but I do think that she does need to continue to report because this is her third incident of this offense.
Okay. Ms. Walker, is it still your intent to enter a guilty plea with the conditions as read?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so to the charge of theft by shoplifting, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
All right. I will need to ask you a series of questions. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Helen, do you stipulate to the factual basis, identity, and venue?
I do, Judge.
Okay. All right. Ms. Walker, I need to ask you, are you presently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down for me. Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes.
Do you agree to give up and waive the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes.
Do you agree to give up and waive the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes.
Are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes.
Has anyone told you that you'll receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea?
Yes.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charges against you?
Yes.
And as to the charge of theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass, those two charges, how do you plead?
Guilty, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So we again have 12 months to serve 15 days, credit for time served at 15 days, balance probated. You have a $500 fine, anti-theft course, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on probation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, balance is probated.
Your Honor, I don't know if that was, maybe I misheard you, but it's 12 months to serve, 30 days mandatory.
Oh, you know what?
Time.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. Yes, 12 months to serve, 30 days mandatory. I apologize. And you're getting credit for time served at 12 days with no sheriff credit. You understand that, Ms. Walker?
No, ma'am, what does that mean?
It's a mandatory 30 days, but you already have credit for 12. So do the math. The difference there is what you will have to complete, because if it this third shoplifting is a 30-day mandatory serve time.
Judge, it just means 3 additional days, and then you will have met the 15. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Well, it said that she couldn't get sheriff
She
credit.
can't get any sheriff credit, so she has to serve she has to
Straight
do
30.
Yeah.
So 12 from 30, do the math for me, someone. 13, she has to do 13. It says no sheriff credit of the 2-for-1.
No, it's 30
So it's
minus
18.
12. It's 18 days. She has to serve the additional 18 days. She cannot get any credit, the 2-for-1, because it's mandated by statute that she has to serve the 30 days.
And Judge, let me just talk to Ms. Walker. If we can go to another case, I just want to talk to her real quickly.
Okay, Ms. Walker, you want to speak to your counsel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can call out there, Ms. Helen.
Yes, Judge, I have the number.
Okay, great.
Hey, Judge, I just want, can I get pretrial to read her history? We just want to verify some stuff. Can I get
Okay.
pretrial to read Ms. Walker's history, please?
Yes, ma'am. Pre-trial?
One moment.
Yes, that's 29, Ms. Walker.
11 cycles. Last arrest was June of 2019, probation violation in Hall County, Georgia. Underlying charge was not indicated. She has a 2019 misdemeanor conviction in DeKalb for giving false name. A 2019 probation violation, a 2018 probation violation, 2019 criminal trespass, also out of Hall County. Violation again in 2018, a 2018 willful obstruction of law enforcement officer conviction out of DeKalb. She was offered first offender, so that one was sealed in 2019. Criminal trespass 2018, also out of DeKalb, which was a no-low plea. A 2018 criminal trespass, again out of DeKalb, conviction. And that's it, nothing further.
Judge,
Go ahead.
I'm going to go back because I think we need to look back at this. I had from the state that this was her third shoplifting. I wanted pretrial to read the history because I didn't have that from her. I also didn't have that from her history. So this mandatory 30 days and no 2-for-1, that's not the case for Ms. Walker. We're going to ask for a time served here with the probation, but we're going to ask for a time served that the day she has been at the South Annex jail be considered enough time for this theft by shoplifting. She will not be going back to the Walmart, but we are asking for time served with that probation and those conditions, Judge.
And Your Honor, I am looking at her history, the GCIC that I have in Odyssey, and the history I am reviewing, and I'll just pop over to that screen, Your Honor, if you give me a moment. It says that her first cycle was in 2019. It was a theft by shoplifting conviction in 2020. Cycle 2 is a theft by shoplifting conviction in 2021. And then in cycle 3 is just an arrest for theft by shoplifting out of Riverdale. And then 2021 is our case, the criminal trespass in theft by shoplifting arrest. Hall County, I don't know if this defendant has any history in Hall County. Maybe she can verify that, but the offense was in Union City. The history I have are cities closer to Union City. So I don't know if there's a mix up with the GCIC that was just read by pretrial or if the state has it wrong. But what I reviewed, and I verified her name a couple times, this defendant has multiple theft by shoplifting convictions, and this would be her third. If that is the case and that is correct, then we cannot give her anything less. It's a mandated 30-day sentence. So I don't know if we need to just re-verify the GCIC or what have you, but like I said, the offenses on that GCIC are closer in proximity to Union City. I don't know if this defendant has any Hall County, if she's ever lived there, if that's where she's been, but that I'm pretty certain that this appears to be the right defendant from the GCIC I'm reviewing.
And I'll just briefly add some clarity. I don't think I heard a shoplifting arrest or conviction from pretrial at all.
One moment, let me go over it. I think it was the wrong one. I apologize.
Right, and I'd just like to say, I just did a quick precursory search of her name, and she has 2 open shoplifting cases in Fulton County that's in Odyssey. So it's not the case that she has not been arrested for shoplifting because she has 2 open cases in Fulton County as we speak for shoplifting.
So, so she has 5 cycles. First cycle was in 2019, Shabley. That was a theft by shoplifting conviction.
Okay.
Cycle 2 is theft by shoplifting Riverdale. That was also a conviction. Cycle 3, it was a arrest in Riverdale, but there's no disposition listed on that arrest. And then the last arrest was October of 2021, where she was arrested for theft by shoplifting and It just indicates a bind over.
Okay, so the previous GCIC was incorrect. So the one you just read with the 5 cycles, that's correct?
Correct.
Okay, hold on for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's plenty of money. Nothing has gone wrong. Everything that you want is lined up for you. Whenever you're ready, it's right here for you. Nothing you need to do. Done all the work. All you need to do is relax. Now you want to go.
Hey, Judge, this is going to go ahead and be a negotiated plea.
All right.
And Judge, I'm sorry to interrupt one last time.
That's okay.
In the other open shoplifting case, the defendant was in mental health court, but she was non-compliant, so she was referred to state court. If she wants to close out both cases today with that same recommendation, that is on the table, but only on the table for today. So I don't know if you need another moment, but the state will keep the recommendation and we'll close out both cases. But we are asking that the time is served day for day.
Okay, day for day. Gotcha.
Your Honor, I just spoke to Ms. Walker. I let her know that there was some confusion about that history. We have it cleared now. She believes, yes, this is a fair offer. We are accepting that. And as well as from Attorney Walker, she would like to resolve that case as well.
Okay. And hold on a second,
And
my clerk and litigation manager is gonna pull that one up.
I
Give her
can
a
give the
second.
case number if that would help.
Yes.
21 CR 00549-1E. And I'm looking at that as the report. It appears to be a Union City and Walmart. So I'm guessing it's the same.
Same store.
The same store. So it'll be the same conditions, Your Honor.
Okay.
And of course, that is for 2 guilty pleas.
Oh, so Mr. Walker, those are gonna run concurrent, so it'll be straight 30, correct? Not 60.
That is correct. A straight 30 day per day.
Okay. Yeah, hold on a second so we can get our paperwork together on the other case.
And would I also need to submit pleas for both cases? I can.
Yes. All right, Miss Grace has got her paperwork in order now. All right, let's start with the first case, which is on the calendar, position 2922, CR 00278ED. And again, Shakira.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, making sure I'm trying to get it right. I apologize.
I greatly appreciate it.
Okay, we've got the 1 count of theft by shoplifting. And the offer by the state, again, is 12 months to serve 30 days mandatory. Credit for time served at 12 days, no sheriff credit. I think the balance we determined was 18 days.
Right.
And a balance probated, $500 fine, anti-theft course, and to stay away from the incident location. And I believe I heard 775 State Route.
I thought it was 4735 Jonesboro Road, Walmart.
Oh, I really got that wrong. I apologize. 4735 Jonesboro Road.
Wait. Because now I had something
Is that
different.
You know what, sorry to interrupt again, but we're just gonna go ahead and make it all Walmarts within Fulton County due to the defendant's history, and she has 2 cases out of Walmart. I'm sure Walmart does not want her back, so this is gonna be the state's position for all Walmarts in Fulton County, a stay away condition.
Okay, let me make it even better than the address. Let's just say all Walmarts in Fulton County while you're on probation. Do you understand, Ms. Walker? You're not to go into any Walmart, so you've got to shop somewhere else. And that $500 fine to this Walmart on Jonesboro Road for this case, and a total stay away from all Walmarts in Fulton County. You also have to take an anti-theft course, which your attorney will let you know about. Is that your understanding of the plea?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Judge.
Okay, and then as soon as we get the other one ready, we'll do that. And I need to ask you, I did already ask you a series of questions, didn't I?
Yes, ma'am.
So I won't ask them a second time, but let's get the second case. And the second one is 21, was it 21 CR? 005491E. Okay. All right. And again, that's one count of theft by shoplifting. And I forgot, Ms. Grace, what's the offense date on the other case? Let's see. Or Miss Helen, someone else may have it quicker. She's going back.
I'm showing an arrest date of October 1st of last year.
Yep. You and Miss Grace are together. 10/1/21 is the offense date on the 21 CR case. And again, it is your desire, Ms. Walker, to plead guilty to that one count of theft by shoplifting with the offense date of October 1st, 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And it will run concurrent with the 22 CR case. And you can go non-reporting once you've completed the conditions, and I will waive your probation fees. So that is 2 guilty pleas. All minds clear? Have I left out anything?
No, ma'am.
No, Judge.
Counsel? All right, thank you. Good luck to you, Ms. Walker.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
Next, we have position 33, position 20, Miss Mathis.
Okay.
What have you been up? Oh, come on.
And Judge, can we have a sidebar for position 20, please?
Okay, sit down.
Yes.
Come on, Miss Mathis.
I know we're used to saying the sidebar, but breakout room. Ms. Champion, put Ms. Harmon, myself, Ms. Helen, Mr. Walker, do you want to get in our sidebar?
Of course, Your Honor.
All right. And hold on, Ms. Mathis, we'll be right back, okay? All right, we're back on the record. Ms. Mathis, your case will be reset till Tuesday, the 24th, which is just a week from today. And then we'll be able to review it at that time. And are we deferring the bond hearing to that date as well? Or are we doing bond hearing today?
We'll defer that bond hearing till Tuesday, Judge.
Okay, all right. So we will see you on Tuesday, okay?
And I'll give you a call, Ms. Mathis.
I was gonna say, your attorney will call you in the interim.
Next, we have position 33, Ms. Wharton.
This is 22 CR 002743Y, Jasmine Worthens.
Yes, Judge, and this is going to be a non-negotiated plea.
Okay.
All right, Your Honor, in Ms. Worthen's case, excuse me, the state is recommending, I'm sorry, let me just get to the right page. 12 months to serve, 90 days, credit for time served, 14 days, balance probated, no further contact with the victim in this case, who is Tamika Johnson, T-A-M-E-K-A, last name Johnson.
Jackson. It's Jackson. It's last name Jackson. It's Tamika
I
Jackson.
apologize. Jackson, I wrote down the wrong name. Last name Jackson. No further contact with the victim. Stay away from the incident location, which is 3964 Blanton Avenue, B-L-A-N-T-O-N Avenue Southwest, and the Family Violence Intervention Program. The facts of the case are that the police have been called out to the incident location as there was a dispute, and while in police presence, the defendant began fighting her, Miss Jackson, the victim, in police presence. She struck her, she grabbed her hair. She's clearly a danger to this victim. But what is more compelling, Your Honor, is that she has 5 cycles on her GCIC, and they are all quite violent offenses. She has a 2019 battery conviction in the cab against a different victim. She has an open 21 CR 004 971Y simple battery against a different victim, and an open 21 CR 001 598Y battery family violence against a different victim. Our office did get to speak to the defendant, the victim, who is the defendant's mother. The victim said that the defendant has a history of violence, and that the victim wants no contact with this defendant and wants her to stay away from the residence. She did agree to a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve her belongings, which we would add to the plea conditions. But because of that history and because of the nature of this incident and the violence of it all, I think that the plea is more than fair and supported because she does have the open cases. And like I said, we would add that one time law enforcement escort so that she could get her belongings and leave the residence permanently.
Yes, Judge, this is a non-negotiated plea. We are asking for a recommendation of 45 days to serve. She's actually been confined 15 days. She was arrested May 4th, 2022. So that would be 15 days. So Judge, when I spoke to Ms. Worthens, she's not a danger to the community. Unfortunately, these are individuals in her family. The other case is with Sharon Worthens, which is an aunt. And so when I spoke to Ms. Worthens, these are confrontations with her immediate family at the location of 3964 Blayton Ave, which Ms. Worthens, Jasmine, does not live there anymore. She understands that there is a stay away and she cannot return. At this moment, because of that, Judge, she is currently homeless. She does have at least one working number. She's 27 years old. And again, Judge, that's why we're asking for a sentence of 45 days to serve. She has 5 cycles, but this is internal with her family, who she knows not to go near, especially the individuals mentioned in those cases. So Judge, I do not believe she will have any contact with those individuals. When I spoke to her, she does not want contact. She wants to be separated and do better in her life. She graduated high school. She would like to go to college. And with those 5 cycles, Judge, she wants to put this case behind her. Again, we're asking for a recommendation of 45 days to serve.
In Your Honor, I would just follow up by saying that I don't know the relationship of the victim in the 2019 battery conviction out of DeKalb, but that's not the common last name. This is a Chloe Brooks. So I'm not sure if we can conclude that she's not a danger to the community, because we have this Miss Brooks case that she was definitely convicted on in 2019. I think this is more than fair. If she only has 5 cycles and we have 3 cycles of violence, and I think that is very telling. If we did do the 45 days, it would have to be day for day. That would be the concession I would make on that. Otherwise, we'll stick with the 90 days.
Ms. Helen, what about the 45 day today?
No, Your Honor. We're asking for a recommendation of 45 days to serve as a misdemeanor. So that would be 2 for 1.
Any rebuttal, Ms. Harmon?
And I would be unwilling to do that because, like I said, we have these open cases where she's resorting to violence against her family. If she, she might just, I just think that the history, it's short, but it's telling, and that she has all this conflict with these people. And she's been convicted on at least one of them. So I don't think that she should, I definitely think she has to serve time here to understand that she cannot resort to violence to resolve her problems with her family members. That's not the solution. So I'm unwilling to budge on the 90 days.
Okay, I don't know, Ms. Helen, is there anything you need to discuss with your client or not, or do we not have a plea?
Let me talk to Ms. Worthen.
Okay.
Hey everybody, do you struggle to keep surfaces clear in your house like the dresser? I'm Dan, I'm a professional organizer, and I'm about to show you how I do it.
And Judge, the state's recommendation of 90 days, that is the 2 for 1, the credit for time served 14 days.
Yeah, but if we went with the 45, it was gonna be straight.
Right, Judge. Ms. Worthens is going to agree to the state's recommendation.
Okay.
And the conditions.
Okay. All right. So they're still talking. All right, Ms. Worthen, it is my understanding that you are going to accept the state's offer and plead guilty to the 1 count of simple battery family violence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. And Ms. Helen, do you stipulate to the facts, venue, and identity?
I do, Judge.
Okay, all right. And I need to ask you a series of questions, Ms. Worthen. Let me ask you, are you currently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services of representation of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up and waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you are waiving and giving up the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
That you are giving up and waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're prepared to agree and waive these rights today, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be revoked because of your guilty plea here?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charge against you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and again, the plea is 12 months to serve 90 days, credit for time served 14 days, valid probated, no further contact with the victim, Tamika Jackson, and a stay away from 3964 Blanton Avenue, and not to go back there, and an FVIP, Family Violence Intervention Program, you must complete that. And have I left out anything?
We also agreed to a one-time law enforcement escort, if necessary, for her to retrieve any items that are at that location.
Yes, and add this, Ms. Grace, one-time law enforcement, thank you, escort to retrieve any personal items that you may have at the Blanton Avenue. And please do not go back there unless you have scheduled and arranged for your law enforcement escort. Because if you go without the escort, you can be arrested again, okay?
Okay.
So you need to wait to do that. And I know it could be hard scheduling it, but you know, you've got to comply with these conditions. All right, any questions?
So I'm gonna be serving 30 more days, correct?
15 from,
That's 30 additional days.
yes. I'm doing, because you're making me do math in my head, which I can't. So I was getting ready to write that down. Yes, you are correct. I don't like to agree to math because I'm not great at it, but yes. Approximately that is correct.
Okay.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Let's go.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's it from the South Annex. Did we get everybody?
I think, Ms. Grace, are any of those, do you know if those were South Annex? We had a few on the calendar that they had do not bring. We didn't know if they were being reset or just they're indefinite, what the reason was. Did you have any down there? 17 and 18, let's see, and 11 was hold.
I have 17 and 18 were resets to the mental health calendar. Mr. Kemp is actually enrolled in the mental health court program. Position 15, I submitted a null pros order for Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
That case was from 2003 appears. And I have position 12 was also a reset to the May 26th SAP calendar. I have position 11 was a reset to the May 24th SAP calendar, Your Honor, if that helps.
Okay. Yes, that helps us.
All right. Bye.
You're off the hook, Deputy. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Are we ready to reconcile? Usually I'm used to asking Mr. Tucson if he gives me authority to do it. Ms. Harrison, you can let him know we talked about him. You're much nicer, Ms. Harrison. Okay. Position number 1 was a plea. Position number 2 was.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. What was number
Hold
1?
on, they can't hear you. They changed the speakers in here, so I know it's a little different. Position number 1. Can you all hear her now?
Yeah.
Okay. Position number 1 and 2 was a plea. Position 3 was a plea. Position 4 is a.
That mic cut out.
Yeah, can't hear anything.
Judge, you can't mute your mic.
I just figured that. Thank you. Sorry. Go back to 5, maybe?
4.
4. Position 4 was a reset. Position 5 and 6 are reset. Position number 7 was a plea. Position 8, plea. Position 9, plea. Position 10 was a plea. Position 11, reset. Position 12, reset. Position 13 was a plea. Position 14 was a plea. Position 15 was non-prof. Position 16 was a plea. Position 17 and 18 is reset. Position 19 is a plea. Position 20 was a reset. Position 21 was a reset. Position 22 was a plea. Position 23 was reset. Position 24 was a plea. Position 25 was a reset. Position 26 and 27 was reset. Position 28 was a plea. Position 29 was a plea. Position 30 was a plea. Position 31 was reset. Position 32 was a plea. Position 33 was a plea.
And Judge, can we update the dates on those resets for the competency calendar for the 23rd and 26th? It'll actually be, I guess, best for June 30th instead of the July 5th. And that's for 23 and 26.
Okay,
Thank you, Judge.
thank you.
And then once you guys have that down, I do have an update for the reset date for position 17 and 18. Those are.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, Mr. Walker. Ms. Helen? 26 is June or July? Yeah, June or July, Ms. Helen. Did she leave?
June, 6:30, Judge.
6:30. Yes, she said 6:30. Okay. Okay. And now, Mr. Walker?
Yes, on position 17 and 18, the case is being reset to mental health court. That reset date will need to be June 3rd, which is the mental health court calendar.
Okay.
And he already has the hearing scheduled on that day, and that's why I'm selecting that date.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else? All minds are clear. We're concluding. Thank you all. Good seeing everyone again. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
You too.